Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and just again, welcome to a great just night in Ramadan. And I know some of you are have tonight Laylatul Qadr, so and some of us it's for tomorrow. But hey, just do them all. It's a beautiful thing. So inshallah, we've been going along here in terms of just kind of a mini series, and we've talked about yesterday. We talked about the power of al-bawh, we said, is disclosure, and to actually relieve the person, that ourselves, and to kind of whatever we are holding in our chest, kind of remove it. So this is going to be the second part. Tomorrow is where we're not, I'm not going to continue tomorrow, so it's going to be tomorrow, the day after, and the day after that. So we'll pick back up on Friday night, inshallah. And so there's two more parts to this series, and we talked about them last time. But tonight, what we're going to go through is al-intima. Al-intima is a sense of belonging. So feeling like you belong to something. So on this level, I want to give you a quick story that happened with me. When I shared this story a little bit a while back, but I just want to give you what it gave me in terms of the sense of a person, and how I started identifying with this certain environment. So for me, as I was moving through my journey, and I was just like everybody else, I didn't know which direction to go. I didn't know how to actually get there. I didn't know what I was pretty much, you're just trying to figure things out. You're moving in those realms. And someone had mentioned in front of me that there's this Islamic retreat. Some of my friends were going, so I decided to go. And I went up on the bus, and I remember in terms of distinctly what happened on those moments. And I had a decision to make: do I stay or do I go? And I made a decision to stay. And what had happened is, I remember there was one moment, and I actually went out to the water by myself, and I just sat there. And there was a little chipmunk that literally came right in between my legs, and he was just sat there. And I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, oh my God, it's a chipmunk. They don't do that, And I said to myself, like, subhanallah. And I was just looking out in the water, and I'm just seeing everything. It was incredible to me. And I finally felt like I belonged. It was a sense of belonging. It was al-intima. I belonged to something. There was something that was calling me. And all of us, I'm going to show you by the end of this presentation, okay, what is that power that's calling you? It's already in your heart. There's a power that's there, and it's always knocking on the window. It's always knocking on the door. It's always telling you, listen, come to me. I'm right here. I'm right in front of you. And unfortunately, what we do is we turn that voice away, and we look away. Why? Because we don't want to really change who we are. We're happy with what the things that are going on in our life, and we don't really want to listen to something that may make us feel like we're not doing everything that we need to. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. In the Quran, it says, وَإِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِ آيَاتُنَا وَلَّى مُسْتَكْبِرًا كَأَنَّهُ لَمْ يَسْمَعُهَا كَأَنَّهُ فِي أُذُنَيْهِ وَقْرًا فَبَشِّرْهُ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. So he says, when our signs are shown to him, okay, so when there's talk about maybe certain things, some people turn off. Like when there's talk about Allah or religious gatherings, some people turn off. They don't want to listen. And it says in the Quran, says this person, it's like there's an echo in their ear. They don't want to hear it. Just don't talk to me about religion. They're so turned off by the subject, which is fine. At the end of the day, everybody has their opinion. But at the end of there's something that's always calling you on that level. Okay, what is that voice? Why is it there? What are the things that hold us to these things? What are our natural inclinations? I'm going to give you 3 things that Allah has imprinted in our heart. He put them there. Whether you're an atheist, you're a theist, you're any kind of person, it doesn't matter. These things are embedded in you. It's part of your natural programming. When you get a computer, Okay, you don't have to program it. It's already there. You just hit start and it starts. Okay, imagine you have to program your own computer. You don't have to do that. We're like that. We already come with pre-existing software, and nobody teaches you how to walk. You just get up and do it. Okay, you just get up and your muscles. All of a sudden, the kid is just standing up. They're crawling. Who set that program there? Who put that intact? Okay, how's the mind doing that? And it's incredible if you study the mind even further in terms of how the neurons fire. And I'll give you a small little fact here. 25% of your energy, like literally 25%, is used up in resting phase. For you as a person, your mind just takes that up. Like literally 25% of your energy, just to keep your neurons balanced. When they're firing, in terms of that, it has to go from polarization to depolarization, hyperpolarization. It has to go through all these states. But just to keep that system moving, 25% of your energy is used up by your mind. It's incredible in terms of these kinds of things. So when Allah has set these things into place, that's just another fact. Who set that? Who put that together? Who allowed you to speak? Who put that together? It's incredible when you start seeing from the mind to your verbiage to you standing up as a little kid. It's incredible how that works. So tonight, what we're going to go into is when you find this sense of belonging, who should you belong to? Prayer, as we said, okay, nourishes this sense of belonging. And we're going to see how. So yesterday, it was disclosure, and we took a psychological end, and we took a religious end. Tonight, okay, the second factor is al-intimat, which is having a sense of belonging. And that factor is also nourished by prayer. And we're gonna go through that. And it's incredible how these things at the end all come together. And again, I'm going to be using presentations that I had before, but they're going to be parts now. They're going to be a part of a bigger presentation. So that's how I was just setting this stuff up so I can get to these levels. And now we're just building on what we've heard before. And so tonight, before we start, let's just get it going the right way. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Now, everyone, please, like tonight, what I'm going to do is literally set up, in terms of, I'm going on more of a psychological end in terms of what I'm doing, but tonight's presentation is really all about you setting up yourself in terms of understanding how to make choices. This is an amazing book. It's an amazing book. It's called The Art of Choice. Okay, if you can get this book, it's really, really something special. I recommend it. It's a little bit long, it's a little lengthy, but if you like to read, that's an amazing book in terms of some of the psychological studies between collectivist cultures, individualized cultures. We're an individualized culture, but it's an amazing book if you really want to read. It's heavy psychology, and it's all really about different psychological studies that are even done around the world and not just locally here. So that's a book. There's another book I'll have for you tomorrow, so keep tuning in terms of what we're doing. Or tomorrow we won't be here. Tune in tomorrow though, guys, for the amal, and there are going to be some majalis as well, and see if you can make it on these nights, and just make sure that please keep us in your dua. Please keep your brothers and sisters and just the whole Islamic community in your dua, and really take care of like these nights. These nights are really where Allah sets down and He gives you literally whatever is going to happen in the next year. Allah sets it. So take your time and stay up, pray, read Quran, do your thing, and then go from there. All right, guys, that's enough for that. Let's get into it in terms of what we're going to do. So al-intimat, having a sense of belonging. How, as a sense of belonging, how is that really going to be constructed? So I'm going to give you the psychological end, then I'm going to give you the religious end. Okay. As a sense of belonging is a human need. It's literally a human need. It's part of you. You need it in terms of what psychology has stated, okay? Just like you need food and shelter. Bottom line, it's essential for your well-being, mental, emotional, and physical health. It's needed, all right? So that's the key. Feeling that you belong to is the most important in seeing the value in life and in coping with intensely painful events. So once you have a sense of belonging, you can actually deal with life further. That's what it gives you. So when me as a person, finally felt like I belonged somewhere, that sense of belonging gave me strength. It actually shifted my whole emotional code. I didn't feel empty anymore. You're going to see some of the consequences. There was a sense of emptiness that I had, and I couldn't fill it. After that weekend, I swear to you, that was gone. It was gone. And I've never felt it again. Never. And it's been a long time since that has happened. And it's incredible once that plugs into your system, as we talked about yesterday, in terms of these kinds of things. But a sense of belonging shifts your emotional code from a lack of fulfillment to an emptiness to something that is just like it's overflowing from you. You feel so great about yourself no matter what the challenges are. That's not what we're saying. Regardless of the challenges, you really feel good. There's an underlying stability. That's what happens. All right. So it helps you deal with what? Life overall. Now, a sense of belonging to a great community improves your, listen to this. Really listen to this. It improves what? Watch this. Okay. Your motivation. That's number one. It improves your motivation. Number two, your health. And really think about these things and your happiness. It's incredible when you don't feel like you belong somewhere. You need to understand that this is an essential part of your being, that you need to feel like you belong in a certain group, environment, even a religion, society, everything. There's a sense of belonging is needed in terms of that. The sense of belonging gives you a sense of identity. Now I'm going to stop here for a second because this is huge. When you belong and you're saying, I belong to this, you're drawing the lines and you can set borders and you can give people boundaries and you can actually tell people no. When you don't have a sense of belonging, your identity is what? And you don't have a sense of belonging, your identity is in a state of loss. You will not, because you don't know where to draw the lines. It's like drawing with ink on water. Okay, there's no lines anywhere. You can't distinguish who you are. You don't know what to say no to, and you don't know what to say yes to, because there's no sense of belonging. There's nothing to stand for. So it really messes with your identity. This is the psychological end now I'm going to get into in terms of how that is connected to your identity and what it can cause if you don't feel like you have a sense of belonging. So let's go to psychology. Okay, Maslow's hierarchy of need. Okay, according to Maslow's hierarchy of need, humans possess an effective need for a sense of belonging and acceptance amongst social groups. This is Maslow. Maslow is very well known in terms of the psychological world. Okay, he set this in terms of the hierarchy itself. Now, number two, many people become what? When we do this, and I'm going to go into it, like when you become susceptible to these kinds of things, and when and he said many people do this. Okay, when you become susceptible to certain aspects in life, and watch what he lists, and I'm going to show you why a sense of belonging is really it's amazing. And besides, it affects motivation, your health, and your happiness. And look I'm going to take this further now. Watch. Loneliness. Okay, these are the other side. Okay, social anxiety, and what? Clinical depression. Depression we talked about before in terms of how to get rid of these things. Go back, watch those presentations. All right, so many people are susceptible and become susceptible to what? Because they have a lack of belonging, loneliness, social anxiety, and clinical depression. Now, in the absence of this love, okay, of belonging, of a or belonging element. So if you don't feel like you're loved and you don't feel like people care for you and accept you, it creates a lot of psychological aspects, and it can really harm you mentally and emotionally. Also, the book Intimate Relationships, like really listen to this. This is another great book. I don't have it here with me. And it talks about, like, if you really want to understand relationships, it's incredible. Like, it's right here. Take it down if you can. It's actually a university book, and I think it's undergrad. I'm not sure if it's over, I think it is undergrad. But it's, I think, a 300 or 400 course. But in this book, it really sets the tone for understanding relationships, especially intimate relationships. If you can, like, get that book, read it, it's incredible. But you need a professor, I think, to also go, because there's a lot of psychology in it. So we feel lonely is that we lack, when we feel lonely, it's actually connected to our relationships. When we're lonely, we're not happy with our relationships. And I'm going to show you what the next level says about actual loneliness in terms of low self-worth. Now you're going to understand why we pick those subjects in terms of self-efficacy, self-confidence, and self-esteem, and why they're connected to here now. Because now we're just building, again, we're building on these things. Okay. So also in her, like in the book, in terms of that book, the reason we feel lonely is we lack in our emotion relationships with others. It's connected. So there's a connectedness to that. All right. So now moving forward in terms of this, exploring the essentials of a healthy personality. Okay. Really, this is one of the top psychologists in the world in terms of, he has a book in terms of, that's the name of the book. If you want to actually, it's right here. I think I showed you guys the other day. Where is it? It's not here. It's upstairs. But this is what listen to what he says about these things. It's incredible. Okay. Another consequences of low self-worth is difficulty with being what? Alone. It's difficulty with being alone. So low self-worth is going to cause you to feel lonely, which is a part of your relationships. When you feel like you don't have a relationship, when you feel like you can't be in a relationship and you can't get friends, you can't find a partner, it makes it really difficult on you in life. But watch this. In terms of these kinds of things, your relationships, which kind of relationship do you really want to have? In the next coming after this, what I'm going to do is the 5 types of relationships. And that's coming up in terms of the ladder. There's your relationship with God, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others, your relationship with nature, and your relationship with temptation. Those 5 where I'm going to do in terms of a connectiveness to this whole series, in terms of these kinds of things. And now, how do you get past these certain points where the hierarchy is it God, me, people? How do I set my hierarchical importance in terms of those kinds of things? All right. So now, low self-worth can equal loneliness. Think about that. So loneliness is connected to relationships. Relationships, what type of relationship do you want? Others with who? With who should you be wanting to connect to? Have a sense of belonging to. Watch. Okay. So this disconnectiveness can cause a person to rush to what? Here, there's a mistake here. To other people compulsively, okay, to social settings that are okay. So watch this. If we're like this and we feel lonely, we feel that emptiness, remember that, and we don't feel like we have that sense of belonging, these are some of the things now we do. Watch this. Okay. Noisy and even risky environments. Like, think about that. I will actually put myself in danger because I just want to feel something. I can't feel. Like, remember we talked about yesterday, somebody who turns off their emotions. Okay. This person can go towards this, where they need to feel like they're doing something. They'll just put themselves in danger just to feel that rush. But then the consequences after that, they destroy themselves because they put themselves in very bad situations. So watch this. Or to social media that are what? Really consistently stimulating. This is why social media, guys, and social media is actually designed to be addictive, and it's the literature is out. You can see it. You can do some research on your own, and it's designed. The actual mechanisms are designed for you to be addicted to them. And there's a book, and it's called Hooked. If you want to look into that, how to create addictive products. There's actually books on this stuff, and I've read it. And it's crazy how it's connected and wired to your brain. So your phone, everything around you is designed to be addictive. It's designed for you to create triggers. And I'll give you an example to create triggers for you to actually not be able to live without this thing. So leave your phone away from you for like 2 hours and watch how many triggers and how many times you think of your phone, because it's subconsciously now wired. Your brain is wired to that phone. And the more times it triggers, those are literally hooks that make you compulsively addicted. And a trigger is an addiction. It's literally like if it triggers, imagine 100 times in 2 hours. That's how much you're addicted to your phone or to social media or whatever it is. So social media was actually, like Instagram was designed by psychologists and programmers. Literally, that's what designed the actual system. It's designed to be addictive. So people who rush to these things, that's what happens, is because of these aspects. There's a loneliness to that. And now when I post a picture, I may become, and the more I post, I may become more vulgar. I may become more seductive. I may become really more, I show really nasty videos in terms of these kinds of, just to get the attention that I need. But why? Because there's an underlying emptiness that is caused by loneliness, because I don't know how to have the right relationships. And we said one of the friends that you shouldn't have the other day is the person who does not have close relationships with their relatives, brothers, sisters. That's a major sign, okay, of an unhealthy personality. It's a major sign, okay? Now, I'm not telling you all people are like that. You got to be very careful. These are just one or two things. You got to assess the person as a whole. Now, moving forward, others can become what? Workaholics. People who are like this, they can also become workaholics. All right. Person with low self-esteem, so self-worth, are essentially unable to be comfortable when alone. They can't be okay with their own thoughts. I remember my mentor, and this was remarkable to me. And he said to me, when I was younger, and as he was training me, he said, do you have a hard time being alone? And I was shocked by the question. I said, no, I don't think so. I told him, though, I don't know what you really mean, though. He's like, can you spend time by yourself? And I said to him, why are you asking me that? He said, he goes, have I given you everything that you needed? He's like, yeah. I go, yes. And he goes, do you trust me? I said, yes. I said, of course, He goes, well, trust me on this one, and you'll understand. So he goes, I want you to spend some time with being alone. Be alone with your thoughts and see what happens. Where does your mind go? What happens? How can you live on your own? Are you happy? Can you entertain your own self mentally and be okay with that? Are you okay with being alone? That's a very difficult thing to do for a lot of people, guys. It's not easy to live with you. It's not. And that's why we run towards work. That's why we run towards other things. That's why we can't sleep at night. That's why there's so many things that this causes. Just because you can't sleep, you can't be alone by yourself. So where should you belong to? That's what we're asking here. Why is it so bad to be alone? Okay. And what is it that when you plug it in properly, okay, you no longer feel alone? And even if there's a million, Imam Ali alayhi salam says, if I lose everyone and I have you, doesn't matter to me. And if I lost you and I have everyone, I have nothing. Why? Because no one can feel that, as we talked about yesterday, in terms of these things, but Allah Azza wa Jal. And we're going to show how that is in terms of these kinds of things. Now, this is what psychology states. Now I want to go a little bit to social psychology, and I'm going to push this through this real quick. I'm not going to go into this too far. Okay, in social psychology and in sociology, social psychology, an in-group is a social group to which a person psychologically identifies as being a member. Okay, guys, in our religion and who we belong to, we are under the flag of being Shia, okay, the followers of Imam Hussein and Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam, who bring us to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And Rasulullah brings us to who? Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, if that's the case, we belong under that flag. But subhanallah, some of us we say we belong with Imam Hussein, but our actions are in the corner of Yazid. So you got to be very careful this is why it's so important, because you identify with it. Once you say, I'm this, and I put on the hijab, and I'm doing these kinds of things, and I'm going to speak, and I'm going to do, and I'm going to go around the world, and I'm going to portray this message. Now you're saying, I belong to something, and people are going to measure me by the things I belong to. So if you put yourself in really bad situations and you are representing the flag in terms of what you belong to, and your actions contradict the principles of the flag, people are going to call you out and they're going to see you right away. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, Man dakhala madakhil as-su' ittuhima. He says, whoever has put himself in a negative position to be judged, then he will be judged, and others will judge you in terms of these kinds. Don't put yourself in these positions. So on those levels, it's you identify with a membership. It's like going to a gym and I'm this, or you go to the school and you root for your team. It's or your favorite basketball team, or your football team, or whatever it is. It's a sense of identity. You're identifying with that. That's why psychology is connected in these ways. Why? Because your identity, in terms of having a sense of belonging, is affected. And when you don't feel like you belong anywhere, and you don't feel like you fit anywhere, you will go to what? Loneliness, depression, anxiety, stress, and other things like that. That's why it affects you so much. Okay. In terms of these kinds of things, what is the hierarchical identification of when you to a group identifies you to a group? Okay, do you identify with your heritage, your country, your job? I was just saying this, okay? Sense of belonging will give you a sense of identity, and if you do not have a sense of belonging, you will have problems in your identity, which can cause many psychological issues. Right there. There you go. So this is what can happen with the sense of belonging. So we know now we need to belong. Psychology is telling us that. These are all studies, okay? And here we go. Now let's see, where should we belong to and who should we belong to? Let's find that out. Let's go to religion. Let's see what that says. Now, in religion, first thing, prayer. In terms of prayer, okay, feeds your sense of belonging. How? How does that feed your sense of belonging? How does prayer feed you as a person? Think about when you pray. And we said that yesterday, that when you pray and you're actually in sujood, and you are saying, I belong to this religion. I practice the religion. Okay. Think of the person. Did you see the person who's made his Lord his desires? So some people, Allah is telling us, their sense of belonging is their desires. Whatever they feel like they want to do, or in the moment it's just impulsive, they'll just do it. That person has made his Lord his what? His desires. So whatever I feel, I do. It doesn't matter. If it's good for me, bad for me, I'm just going to do it. I want to drink, I'm just going to drink. I want to be intimate with just any person, I'm just going to do that. It doesn't matter. There's no lines to these kinds of things at all for that person now. Now, having a sense of belonging because you feel you belong to an infinite power. Wow. Infinite power, which controls, like we said yesterday, controls everything. Okay. Watch this. Now, I'm going to give you an example of what kind of power. When you submit, what does Allah do? Things outside the realm of our physicality, in terms of these kinds of things. How does Allah do that? In terms of when a prophet asks, what happens? And how do you build your ability to influence? It's based on what? Submission. We have a certain amount of control. Allah tells us that your control can grow past that. Once you grow, how? If you submit to me, I will make things incredible for you. And what is impossible, I will make it possible because I control everything. Yesterday we said what? Seek security through certainty. Certainty in what? That Allah has control over everything. Now you're connected to an ultimate being that can solve what? Any one of your situations. That control is in his hands. Now, lastly, you feel like you're connected to an ultimate source that we just talked about. Now watch this. This ultimate source that you're connecting to, this is what you're doing. Please pay attention to this, guys. It's ultimately, what are you dependent upon? Are you dependent upon yourself? Are you dependent upon a greater power? Are you dependent upon other people? What are you dependent on? In the Quran, it says, أَرَأَيْتَهُ اسْتَغْنَى إِنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الرُّجْعَى. Does he think of himself as independent? He thinks of himself as just free? What are you dependent on? This is the question. When everyone leaves you and the world leaves you and you have no one next to you, who are you going to call? There's a reason why some of us hit rock bottom, because Allah needs you to hit your face into the ground. So what? You turn back to him and he's the only thing that's left. That's what rock bottom is. When the world has deserted you, everyone. And the only thing you can do is get on your hands and knees and beg Allah. I interviewed a person a while back, and there was a short film that was made, and it's called Rock Bottom, based on his story. And when I interviewed him, he had done some really bad things in his life. And he hit the ground, and he hit rock bottom when he was put in solitary confinement. And he looked up and he saw this small little window, and he just looked up and he saw that. And he, as he was saying this to me, he was like literally crying. And he said, I remember that day vividly. And I just said, help me. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I don't know why I'm even here. Help me. And the whole movie, the short film that was put together, was based on that. And that's the way it really ends. It's a really good short film if you have the time to watch it. It's called Rock Bottom, and put Ascent TV, ASCENT TV, and just watch it if you can. It's really an amazing short film depicting these kinds of things. So when you are in this position, there's nothing else to depend on, not even your own ability. Your freedom has been taken away from you. Everything has been removed from you. You only have one thing to do, is now what? So one more channel of hope. It's inside of you. That's the way it works. Now, what happens when you take this property and you connect to it properly? Your control grows. It doesn't get shorter. It doesn't say, because a lot of people, oh, that's so weak. Why are you praying to something bigger than you? You're so weak mentally. That's it. That's the way it's looked at. Okay, it's looked at, but it's actually an ascension. Prayer is an ascension. It's not a descension. Okay, in terms of what you're doing. So watch this, and it says it in the Quran. It says, قال ربي أني يكون لي غلام وكانت. So listen to this. امرأتي عاقرا, meaning what? Here, let me give you the translation. And she was what? In terms of she was barren, so she couldn't have kids. Okay. وقد بلغت من الكبر. And it just really just pay attention to this. It's incredible. And he says, I've reached extreme old age. I can't have children anymore. So look, it's not even possible. He's talking, and this is Surah Al-Maryam in terms of Zakaria. He was talking to Zakaria, and Yahya was going to be born. Okay. Now, Zakaria was talking to the angels. This is the ability. He's saying, my physical ability, this is science now, right? We're talking science, empirical knowledge, tested knowledge, something that has to be observed and experimented on for it to be what? Relevant. Otherwise, they'll tell you this stuff we can't test it, so it doesn't matter. So now, how do you explain stuff like this? This is in the Quran now. We're talking about people who believe. We're not, obviously, if you don't believe in the Quran and stuff like that, this is a different conversation, and you have to go towards Tawheed and other things, subjects like that first, before you get to these levels, okay? But now, listen to the way Allah Azza wa Jal answers him. And the angels actually answer Zakaria. So Zakaria is reached extreme old age, and his wife is barren, meaning she can't have any more kids. Okay, so think about that. So now that's outside the physical realm. This is how your ability grows when you submit to Allah. So your control grows when you have the correct intention and you connect it to Allah. It's incredible what happens to you. Now you like Sulaiman when he can talk to the ant, and he puts it in his hand and he talks to it. That's the ability. In terms of growth, you actually expand in terms of your own control. Now, what happens, and I'm not telling you to go out now proclaiming, oh my God, you're this and you're that, and you can touch things and they heal. That's not what I'm saying. That's not. People who are like that, they will never say. Trust me, people who are like that will never tell you I'm like that. If they do, then they're not like that. That's the way you literally, they will never say to you, I'm this way, or I can, and I'm not going to those kinds of realms. I'm just saying, it's giving you examples within the Quran in terms of making sure that you understand how your ability can grow and expand through submission to Allah Azza wa Jal. So now, قَالَ ذَلِكَ, listen, the angel said to Zakaria, قَالَ ذَلِكَ, okay, قَالَ رَبُّكَ هُوَ عَلَيَّ هَيُّنٌ. Like, he's saying, this is, your Lord says, what you're making seems so big and something so like it can't be done. Allah answers and he says, to me this is easy. And then watch what he said. Allah Azza wa Jal says to us next, وَقَدْ خَلَقْتُكَ مِنْ قَبْلُ وَلَمْ تَكُنْ شَيْئًا. And he says to him, he says, and I created you from before, while you were nothing. So at least you have something now, and I'm bringing something out of it where it's actually physical. But before, I created you. I created you, and you weren't even, in terms of these realms, you were in a different realm. You were in a different state. And I still brought you to life. How did that happen? What a profound answer for us to really reflect upon. That Allah Azza wa Jalla, he says, this is easy for me. So guys, when we're hit with really harsh diseases, when we're hit with really harsh things in life, we give up and we start thinking, oh my God, like this is impossible. This can't happen. You know, I know people that meet thousands of miles away over the one small little thing, and it's just that the next thing you know, they're getting married. Allah has set this thing in place, and it just connected, just completely different universes. And it just all of a sudden, Allah has brought them together in terms of an amazing thing. So you never expect these things. This is the epitome of faith in terms of what we've been talking about. So now, if you can do that, here's what happens during prayer when a person says, well, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la wa bihamdih. And you start calling to Allah and you say, Subhanallah, Ya Allah, you are the creator of everything. My problem is small in front of you because the universe is so much bigger than my problems. and I say, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la wa you are the glorified. You are the you have control over the realm of everything. يقول شيئا كن فيكون. He says something to anything, be and it is. There is no time distance between, there is no time factor in that. So in terms of that kind of control, and I submit to that kind of power, that's my dependency. When everything leaves me and I have that connection in the dependency and what I depend on, this is second to none now. You've gained everything. You've put that into your heart and you placed it properly. And we said that's the slot. When it connects properly, that's it. You got it. Once you get that to be tweaked into your system properly, al-intima is huge. And what? Where should we go here? Okay, there is no sense of belonging than a belonging to your Lord. And there is no greater sense in belonging than to your Creator. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. To Allah we belong, and to Him we're gonna what? Return. Right now we're in the journey. Inna lillah. To Him we belong. We're going through the journey. Wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We're gonna go back. Every one of us, kullu nafsin da'iqatul maut. Every one of us is gonna taste death, and you're gonna go back to Allah. Before you go back, make sure in these nights, ask for forgiveness. Ask Him to guide you mentally, emotionally. Ask for people. Fatima al-Zahra, she said, al-jar thumma ad-dar. She said, the person who's outside and the people who are the general people, in terms of, I'll pray for them first, then I'll pray for the close ones. Let's pray for each other these nights. Let's really make Allah the center of everything. Make the flag of Imam Hussein alayhi salam the center of everything. Have your heart go towards peace. Have it be soft and connected to the right things. And then when you speak, I guarantee you, your words are going to be embedded with softness. They're going to be embedded with generosity. They're going to be embedded with such affinity to go towards other people and to make someone feel like whatever they're going through, you relieve their pain. You're like an antidote to that person. It's incredible what you can do when you have these things already in your own heart. And when you've connected like that and your spiritual batteries are full, watch how you can charge other people. That's motivation. That's true motivation. When you're spiritually charged and then you let go in terms of what you're doing to the world and you just kind of lay out your message, it's incredible what happens. I want to give you 4 things really quickly, and I'm going to end with this, and we're almost done. I want to remind you that next time we're going to talk about al-taqdir, which is the 3rd part of this series, and then we'll take it from there after that. But tune in to complete this series on that level. So 3 things that Allah has already impregnated into your system. It's your innate factor. It's like we said yesterday, when a spider knows how to make its web, that's already pre-programming, okay? When a kid starts to stand up, okay, and that's pre-programmed, it knows the system's already embedded. These are things that are embedded. Now I'm going to show you the next 3 things are actually, we love these things. These are things that human beings love. We love to do these things, okay? And they're natural. They're part of us in terms of the way we're moving. Now, but these 3 things, really pay attention to them. And I don't care if you're an atheist, you're a theist, you're anybody, it doesn't matter. You're agnostic, you believe in God, you don't believe in God, these things are inside of you. And Allah Azza wa Jal is the absolute nature of these things. Meaning, He is, number 1, Hubbul Kamal, Hubbul Jamal, wa Hubbul Khair. Wa innahu li Hubbil Khairi la Shadid. Okay, we love to what? Do good. A lot of people, even the whole atheistic perspective is based on goodness. just doing the right thing. It's based on this law. Allah Azza wa Jal is the ultimate goodness. He's already put that in you. That's his fingerprint, that's his logo in your heart. So hubbul khair, in terms of this, loving to do good for inna Allah yuhibbul muhsinin. God loves the people who actually are giving. الذين ينفقون في السراء والضراء. Okay, والقادمين الغيظ والعافين عن الناس. Okay, all these things Allah is giving you. That's al khair. Now, in terms of these kinds of things, it's beautiful when you start making yourself understand these things. That Allah's already. Why do I love to whenever you see a person do a really kind act where somebody's yelling at another person and another person is just standing there, and sometimes there's social experience, but they do, and somebody like slaps another person and people are just walking by, and it's called the bystander effect, by the way, in psychology, and they never do anything. But as soon as someone stands up to that person and they have the cameras rolling and the person stands up and says, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? You can't hurt her. That's a female. What are you doing? That's what hubbul khair. We all feel with that. We connect to it. Man, what a great act that person just did. Inna Allah yuhibbul muhsinin. Ihsan is not just what? Money or no, it's standing up for certain positions. That means you have an identity. That means you understand who you are. That loneliness now is completely gone. When you can stand up for the laws that Allah wants you to submit to because you are dependent on Him, regardless of the challenge, regardless of the situation, that's the way it works. When you can implement that into your system, it's incredible. Hubbul kamal. We all love to be perfect, all of us. If I give you A and I give you B and I tell you A is better than B, any sane human being is going to choose A. That's the way it works. That's also part of your system. That's part of your innate system. Wa hubbul jamal. Hubbul jamal is the love of beauty. People may spend millions and millions of dollars to get a lakefront view. Why? Because it's that beauty. To wake up in the morning and to have the sunshine come, and then you have blue skies, and then you have the water, and then you have the birds chirping. Why do we pay so much money for stuff like that? Because it's a natural thing to love beauty. It's a natural thing, and we love beautiful things. Actions can be beautiful, just like that person who said hubbul khair, when he stands up for that lady that's being hurt in a social setting. Just like you have a beautiful face, you can have beautiful actions. Beautiful actions can be like that. So these can be even connected from here to here in terms of these kinds of things. So hubbul khair, hubbul kamal, wa hubbul jamal. Allah Azza wa Jal ultimately is the ultimate beauty. Allah is beyond beauty in terms of His creation and the way He does things. It's incredible. Allah is the ultimate what? Perfect, absolute. Allah's absolute beauty. His absolute perfection. And He's absolutely independent, which we are absolutely dependent on an absolute independent. I'm not going to get into that. That's more in terms of just aqaid and stuff like that. But I just want you to get these things into your system. Then Allah is the ultimate what? Giver. He's the best in terms of the absolute sense of the word. So when you connect to Allah and you start reflecting these things inside your own, and you bring them to the surface, they're already inside of you. You just bring them to the surface. And now when your mannerisms starts displaying on your limbs and extremities, it's incredible what can happen to you. Guys, that's al-intima. And please keep us in your prayers tonight. Get these things out from your system. Give your voice on the inside and have it speak, and find that voice and push yourself to the highest level. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبو القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.